Hello everybody and welcome back to another review. Today is going to be more like an author review because I'm going to take a book that I read by an author that I really love, and I'm sort of going to talk about it in conjunction with my favorite book by said author. I hope that just made some sense. So the book in question that I read most recently, it's going to inspire this whole little quick discussion, is The Manuscript Found in Accra by Paulo Coehlo. I really hope I just said that name right. I've never really heard someone properly tell it to me. He's most famous for the other book I'm going to draw from, and that is The Alchemist. I know a lot of people have to read this for school. I wish I'd had to read this for school, but I ended up reading it on my own. It was actually in my mom's book club and she hated it, and I read it in like an hour and loved it. I read Manuscript Found in Accra, which is his most recent published book. I know he has another one due out now in 2014, but I don't think it's been released yet. So until then, this is his most recently published book. This book takes place in the year 1099 in Jerusalem, and it's framed less like a novel and more just like a series of questions. It all takes place inside the home of this mysterious Greek man known as the Copt. Essentially, the people of Jerusalem are on the verge of being invaded and taken over and such, and they go to the Copt to ask him questions on life, on what they should do, just kind of general questions ranging from all sorts of topics. So each chapter is a question and an answer from the Copt. It's a very fascinating structure and something that I could only expect Mr. Coehlo to do, because it reminds me very much of the spirit of the other novel of his that I loved. The Alchemist is structured very much more like an actual novel, because it really is. It's the story of a young Andalusian Spaniard by the name of Santiago who has to try and complete his personal legend. The idea is that he has this destiny within him and he needs to go and actually complete it, or else this destiny will eventually fade and he'll feel like, wasn't there something I was meant to do that I didn't do? What I really love about this book is that it emphasizes the idea of treasure over gold. They're not necessarily the same thing, and that's one of the biggest lessons that Santiago learns in this novel. Both of these books have been said to read more like self-help books than actual novels, and I do believe there is a valid argument to that. Paulo Coelho has a writing style that creates characters who have this big arching storyline. This isn't like reading a novel. It does almost feel like you're reading a very cleverly put out self-help spiritual guidance kind of book. I will say that I'm not a particularly religious person, but I am of the character that I think people should be free to believe what they want, as long as they don't sit there, push it on me, and tell me I have to believe it. But Coelho is clearly very religious, or at least very spiritual, and that is a tone that is woven through these. It is not histrionic, it is not forceful, it's actually incredibly gentle. He has a very gentle way of writing. I once said that Paulo Coelho is like literary meditation. When you read him, you just get so calm, and I think your mind just opens, and it's a really wonderful experience to read him. He's quick and he's easy, but even though he's quick and easy, it feels so profound at the same time. I know some people don't like Paulo Coelho. Like I said, my mom hates The Alchemist. She can't stand that book. So of course I won't tell her to go read Manuscript Found in Accra, because I know she won't enjoy it. But on the other hand, I know a lot of people really like Paulo Coelho, or at least they really like The Alchemist, and it's really easy to see why. As I said, he has a very easy to read writing style. Because he's also a lyricist, there is an element of poetry to the way he writes, not in terms of being flowery or verging on purple prose, but more in that there's a cadence and a rhythm to what is being written. If you were to read it out loud, you would catch the cadence and you'd soon find yourself speaking with a bit of a lilt. He's one of the best-selling authors in the world, and I think it's easy to see why, because Paulo Coelho's writing is so wonderful. It's beautiful, it's lyrical, and he writes simple yet profound tales that are also not particularly long. Whenever I find myself maybe on the verge of emotional disarray or something, I love to pick up The Alchemist because it just tends to bring me back to center. It calms me. And I'm happy to say that I shall most definitely be adding Manuscript in Accra to that same category of helping to bring me back to center. But that's all from me today, you guys. So until next time, cheers.